The story of Esther begins in a palace overflowing with pride. King Xerxes ruled a vast empire, stretching across countless lands and peoples. One evening, during a lavish feast, he summoned his queen, Vashti, to appear before his guests. But she refused. The king was absolutely furious, and just like that, the throne beside him was left empty. A new queen had to be found. Across the empire, young women were gathered and brought to the palace, prepared and presented to the king. Among them was Esther, an orphan raised by her cousin Mordecai. She was quiet, wise, and careful. She never revealed her background, and she didn't draw attention to herself. But when her moment came, something about her stood out. The king chose her, and Esther became queen. Not far from the throne stood a man named Haman, powerful, respected, but oh so proud. He demanded honor from everyone, and everyone bowed. Everyone, that is, except Mordecai. Haman's anger burned hot, but punishing one man wasn't enough. He wanted more. So he devised a plan not just against Mordecai, but against all his people. A decree was written, a date was set, and an entire nation was marked for destruction. When Mordecai heard, grief swept over him. He sent word to Esther. "You must go to the king," he told her. "You must speak." But there was a problem. No one approached the king uninvited. To do so meant certain death. Esther hesitated. Fear wasn't weakness, it was reality. But Mordecai's message came back, asking, "What if you were placed in this position for such a time as this?" Silence, then courage. Esther made her choice. "Gather everyone, fast for me," she said. "I will go to the king, and if I perish, I perish." The moment came. Esther stepped into the court. Every eye turned. The king looked up. This was the moment of life or death. Then he extended his scepter. She lived. But Esther didn't rush. She invited the king and Haman to a banquet, then another. She waited, choosing her moment carefully. Meanwhile, Haman's pride grew even more. He built gallows meant for Mordecai, certain that victory was near. But that night, the king couldn't sleep. He ordered records to be read and discovered something forgotten. Mordecai had once saved his life and had never been rewarded. So the king asked Haman, what should be done for a man the king delights to honor? Haman, thinking it was about him, described a grand celebration. The king smiled and said, "Do that for Mordecai." Everything began to shift. At the next banquet, Esther spoke, her voice steady. "My people are about to be destroyed." The king was shocked. Who would dare do such a thing? Esther turned and said, "The enemy is Haman." Silence fell, then fury. The king acted immediately, and the very gallows Haman built became his own end. The decree couldn't be erased, but a new one was written. The people were allowed to defend themselves, and when the day came, they stood, they fought, and they survived. What was meant for destruction turned into deliverance, and that is Esther's story, a story of hidden identity, quiet courage, and one moment that changed everything. Because sometimes you don't see why you're where you are until the moment comes when it matters most. Subscribe for the next part.